Alright, YouTube. So this is my FJ right here, 2007. And this is what I'm going to be working on today. There's my my graphics on the hood there. Really like that. One of my favorite movies was Mad Max growing up. And people will recognize this insignia here from the latest version of Mad Max, Fury Road, and they'll recognize this as Immortant Joe's respirator there. There's my MFP, Main Force Patrol. MFP, once again, Main Force Patrol, which was the organization which Max belonged to when the world was civilized, so to speak, and the maintain ride insignia there. So this is my FJ, and if you stick with me for the journey, you'll see the transformation of me getting it ready for some off-roading. Okay, let's get started. Okay, first step here. I decided I was going to start with the antenna itself and routing that all the way up to the front where the radio is going to be. From what I've seen out there on the internet, because good people out there, they kind of show what they do, is they're gonna run that antenna down into here and route it in through here. Put a small hole and through that rubber grommet, and then come out inside of here and work it up towards the front. So that will be my first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to pull all that out of there, and it's going to run it out through there. Now, when I was talking about this, we'll walk over here to this Boztech mount here, which is similar to the Bandy mount. What they're using here is, you see this piece right here, and I'll wrap around here on the other side. FJ. Right here. This piece right here is just a clip. And according to what everybody's saying, that it's just basically just clipped in there. Just like that. And this is going to take its place. Sorry if I and this is going to take its place. And as you can see, there's actually a hole right there in which that screw will go through. Awesome. And it'll look just like stock when it's done. So I'm going to get that on and I'll be back. Okay, so looking at this, I decided what I should do is put all of this together before I put that mount on. I think it'll make it easier to put this on before, because as you can see here, once I get that on, this is going to have to screw up inside of there. And that'll probably be more difficult to do if the mount's on. So one of the things that they say is you want to make sure you have a good clean ground. So I'm going to clean some of this off, some of this paint off here. So I get a nice good clean ground so I don't get any interference. And then I'll put all that in, all this all together here real quick. So, as you can see, I kind of cleaned it out in there, inside of here, and just like right in there in the edges there. I don't know if you can kind of see it in there or not, but just inside of the edges there. So I can get a good ground on that. And I'm not sure if I should do it here or not. Something's telling me I should, just because it's painted. The piece I'm putting it through is also painted. So I think I'm going to clean that out in there a little bit too. And that way I can ensure that I'm getting a nice solid good ground all the way through. Okay, so I cleaned that out inside of there. So I've got paint removed there. I got the paint removed inside of here. And I also removed the paint right there, just around there, the hole that the bolt's going to be passing through. That way, all of those are going to be good metal contacts. And I think what I'm going to do after I put this on, I might just hit the edges of all those with some primer, just to make sure that you know, that no rust is going to creep in there. And I may even go back after that's dry and just put like maybe a little thin bead of silicone around all of these points to protect it. So keep moving on. Okay, so I've got some of that cleaned off on the back side of that. I've got it cleaned off here on the inside of that, the paint. Back over here, like I've shown you before, I cleaned it off the back side of in there, and I also cleaned it out with the Dremel inside of the hole. I don't know if you can see that or not. So all along that line, there's going to be metal against metal. Just about done here with this portion of it, and as you can see, I went ahead and I just kind of rudimentarily masked this all off real quick and shot that with some anti-rust paint in there where I had sanded it, so I should have a good ground and everything should be protected again. Okay, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. I know it's an old term, but I'm an old guy. So, right here, what I'm going to do, because the biggest thing I'm freaking out over is rust, is I'm going to put some clear silicone around that bolt there, that nut actually. I want to put a little bit of this all-purpose indoor-outdoor, it's indoor-outdoor clear silicone. That way it's not so noticeable because it's clear, and it'll prevent water from seeping down in there. And I'm actually even thinking I may even run a bead along the top there so water doesn't get down in between it. Yeah, I think I actually might do that, just to keep the water from running down inside of there. I'm not worried about underneath, I'm worried about on top. So that's what I'll do next, and then this portion of it will be complete as the antenna is now on, and I'll be running my cable next. Okay, so there it is. So I've got some silicone around that nut right there. I don't know if you can see it. I got some silicone around that nut, and could come around here. I've got some paint, anti-rust paint on that bolt and on that big bolt there, and in there where I cleaned off all the paint. In between this plate and here, and the metal of the hinge here, I cleaned off some paint there, so it's metal to metal there as well. And then, I don't know if you can see that there, but I ran a thin bead of, might be a little rusty, but I ran a thin bead of indoor-outdoor silicone, clear silicone, all in between here, so water cannot seep down in between there, and so that whole area is fully protected. So now I'm on to the next step, which is going to be running this up to the front of the FJ. And I'm going to go in through this rubber piece here. So that's the next step, and then I'm going to fish it through here. So that'll be the next step. Okay, so I've got that all mounted up there, and what I did is I wrapped it underneath here like this, and I'll show you why. A lot of guys just let it run straight down. And then I came just right around here, and I zip tied it right in here. And I'll just push that zip tie back over here. There we go. So it's on the opposite side. So I was zip tied it right around there, and I brought it down to this rubber grommet here where all the wiring is passing through. Now what I did is I used it on this back side, and I just used this hook, and I hooked underneath and twisted a hole directly underneath. And the reason I did that, so to prevent water from getting in there as much as possible. So it's my hopes that the water won't run down and then go back up inside of there, and down here, and then back up inside, because the hole is right here underneath. And I just pushed it through, and that's why I liked this one. This one, because you end up with, you have just this piece you have to push through all the way, and so you don't have this big hole. You know, if you had the actual end that connects to the CB, you don't have this big hole that you have to put through everything to get it down there. So that's what I did. I got a little bit of a loop here, drip loop right here, so it drips. So what I'll do is I'll show you what happens is I did it like that instead of just letting it drop straight down. So when you close it, it's actually on top of that, rather than most guys will let it run down to here, somewhere in here. So I don't want it to keep getting pinched repeatedly in there. So I looped it and zip tied it back inside of there. So when the door closes, opens and closes, it's actually riding on top of that, and it's not actually, the door isn't even touching it. So the next step is I'm inside of this compartment here, and now I want to run it up to the front somewhere there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get it as far as I can up there, and what I'm going to use is this to fish it through. And what this is for a bicycle. This is cable housing for a brake cable or shifter. And it's stiff but pliable. That's why I like these. And you can kind of fish it through things. And I'll just put some tape and tape it onto the end of this like that. And then I'll just kind of fish it through there and see if I can get it to come out right up here. This hole here. Now I may not have it come out of there permanently, because once again this is a pivot point right here for this seat, and I don't want this cable to keep getting hit there. So I might try to get it there as far as I can, and then see if I can get it to go even further once I'm there. But for right now the goal is to get it to this area here. So right there. So this is what I'm going to try now. Sorry for the bad videography. I'm thinking, talking, doing this, pointing here, and looking at other things while I'm doing this at the same time. So I'll be back once I get it fished up there. Okay, so I fished it down right through here with that cable housing, and fortunately I didn't get any resistance, and it came out right here. So that's where we're at so far. So I'm just going to pull it right on through. Okay. also want this accessible in here, so I don't want things getting caught up. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip tie it in here to some wires, and I'm going to run it low down here, and then it'll stay along the bottom there rather than just being loose in here like this. I don't want it loose in there, so I'm going to zip tie that, and I'll pull it through, and I'll be back. Okay, so this is the trim that's inside the door sill there. I just popped it out. You just gently lift that all up and it'll just pop right on out. Here's the compartment here where everything went. I just zip tied my cable all inside of here, so it's nice and neat and out of the way, and it's trailing along the bottom inside. And this is where I popped all the trim off, right here. And now I'm coming out right there. So this looks like this is going to be a fairly easy fix right here. I don't want this exposed to the seats or anything. So all I'm going to do is basically I'm just going to shove it right under the panel. And now it's gone. And just continue to shove it under the panel until I get into this area here. And then I'm just going to I might have to put the camera down to do that, but I'm just going to lift this piece up right here, right in there. I'll lift that up, and then I'm going to run it right along inside of here. Okay, so that's routed. As I got it tucked under there, and look, it almost looks like it was made for it. And I ran it down through here, and in here I ran it back behind here. And whenever I'm routing cables and stuff like this, might sound pretty obvious, but I try to tuck whatever I'm adding in behind what's existing. That way I can figure if what's existing there is not in the way and I put this behind it, then it will never be in the way. So I fished it up through behind here, and I brought it out back there in the corner. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize these clips here, you can see right there, and I'm going to fish it that way towards the stereo.